You always hear coaches tell you need to work on niching your business. Or is that niching? Or is that gnashing? Not gnashing, something else. But we're going to talk about niching today on this episode of SoloProneur Spirit. I was a big fan of the television series MASH. And when the character of Charles Emerson Winchester was first introduced, he had a saying he used several times, which was, "I do one thing at a time, I do it well, and then I move on." Well, as he found out, eventually trying to do that in that circumstance was not the best option. But that's kind of the thinking behind niching. Now, if you don't know what niching is, that is where you really focus your business on a certain subset, a certain set of tasks, instead of just a general broad thing. So for instance, one of the services SoloPro offers is editing podcasts. Well, I could just say, hey, we edit podcasts. Well, for who? Anyone. Okay. That's true. We could, but it's not going to attract a lot of people because they're like, well, you're talking big ones, small, I don't get it. But if I were to say, yeah, majority of the podcasts we edit are specifically for solopreneurs and small business people who provide services. More specifically, coaches. That's who we really excel with. Well, then I have now niched that business or that business line down. And so people that are solopreneurs, small businesses, particularly ones that are coaches, are going to go, you know what? I'm more inclined to go with him because that's where his experience is. He knows how to solve these problems. He knows what works for people like me. That's the idea behind niching. It gives you a chance to stand out. For instance, look at this little bench behind me here. Now, it's a pretty bench, don't get me wrong. But if it was among a whole bunch of other benches, would I necessarily pick or choose to sit on that bench? Who knows? Probably not. But here, it's the only one around after a while of hiking. It's the big fish in the little pond. You're going to want to sit on that bench. It looks great because if you've been hiking and you're tired, that's the one that's there. It's in the right place at the right time for you. And that's, again, some of what's behind niching, to being the right person in the right space with the most experience. But there is a danger in niching. And this is what I wanted to talk to because I've pushed back on this several times myself. It's the idea that you can want to get a little stagnant. If you're doing the same thing for the same people all the time, it's great for efficiency. You know how to do it. You know how to do it quickly. You know how to do it correctly. And that's awesome. Rinse, repeat, great for business. So that's part of why you should be moving in that direction. But again, I caution you on this. When you do that, make sure you're still looking outside of that. Maybe offer a different business line, a different product that reaches a different person. Maybe like in my case, I have all these podcasts for coaches. Well, maybe I find a couple people that are maybe home service providers, plumbers or electricians that want their own set of podcasts. And I work on that as a separate entity with them and create another niche. And I think that's where my initial pushback was like, well, if I niche my business, then I'm limited there and I'm going to feel stagnant. I'm going to feel trapped. But when you apply that idea of, okay, let me get this niche going, then this niche, and you keep doing that, now you're building a whole different line of niches. And you can focus marketing in each of those niches so that you can reach those people and make them understand that you know what it takes for their type of business. But you've got lots of different ones. And that's actually going to help you because, let's face it, times can get tough for certain niches, right? And if one goes south, then you've got other ones to work on. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your business. One thing, don't do what I have often done, which is, hey, I do this. I can work with anyone. Because I've generally found that does not work. Still try to convince myself of that because I'll still say, oh yeah, I can do work for anyone. But what you really need to do is find the one that you can most easily get up and running first. And then you can plan for the other ones and start getting those out as well and build your business that way. So instead of a business that does everything, a business that specializes in several different unique areas. That, my friends, is the power of niching. Now, if you got comments on anything I said, please, go to where you found the podcast, leave the comments, or go out to gosolopro.com/SSP, and there'll be links to our forums and our membership areas where you can go and leave feedback about what I've said in here. And hey, if you got suggestions on how to really niche things down, I'd love it. Because as I've said before, I'm not an expert. I'm one of you. I'm telling you what I'm learning. I'd love to hear what you're learning. Hey guys, have a great day.